Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And we've got another Photoshop tutorial for you, and this one is creating selective color images like the one shown here. We've actually got black and white in the background, and then we've used selective color to really highlight the image. So this has been around for a while, selective color. It works really great on certain pictures, New York taxi cabs, colored Easter eggs, and so on. And remember, we're a bit of a slow talker, so it's best to increase the play speed of the video from 1.5 to either 1.75, and just go into that tools icon, which is on the YouTube player bar, and then click that and go to playback speed and make it 1.5 or 1.75, and you'll find the video flows a lot better. Now, this is a reasonably short lesson, so you may not need to use the video index timeline, but we do have one there in the video description, so you can jump ahead. If you don't like looking at the presentation, just want to see us do some things in Photoshop, you can use the index to jump to where we do the Photoshop live demo and just watch that part of the video if you so desire. All right, selective coloring. So this is a shot we took at a winery, and we really liked this lady's earrings. Now, if you use selective color and make black and white, and do a bit of selective color, it kind of looks like it's not completed, it looks incomplete. So what you may want to do sometimes is just use the sponge tool, which will show you, just to add a little bit of saturation back in for the face, but leave the background black and white. So that is kind of like a selective color. Really, the earrings are the things which really pop now in the picture, and that's exactly what we wanted. This was at a car show. We took this photo here, and you can see there's this bright green tint in the background, a guy over here. But if we kind of make that all black and white, like this, you can see the car is really the hero and the star of the photo, and that's working a lot better than the original color photo. All right, so selective color is great for car photos, and we're going to do this one in the video, this flowers image that sort of had some flower buds and things around it. It looks a lot better just looking at the 3 yellow flowers there. So that's one from a car show we did. Here's one where we took a photo down at the market, and there's kind of red trolleys and other things in the background and people and bright colors. But by using selective color, making that black and white, and just doing the motor scooter, we've got the scooter emphasized, and that is a much better photo. Here's a football photo. Football photos, you can just selective color out one of the team's colors and just leave everything else in black and white, so they can work all right. These are ones which our students did now. This one here was the Joker, and they made it into this very dark, kind of morbid picture using selective color. This was a colored cakes picture, which was then made to emphasize the cake using selective color. More ones, these are ones which students found on the internet and used, so we can't give you these ones in the download due to copyright. But again, car photos, it really emphasizes the cars and kind of makes the rest of the scenery there. And this one here was taken by us at a car show, and then we just kind of did a desaturated version of that, really emphasizing the nice red colors which were in the original picture. These are some more which our students did, so these are just photos they decided to do and find on the internet. It's always interesting, even this basic blue bottle photo comes up quite well in selective color. I really like the clock one, and this one I love with the reflection in the dog's glasses, and then all we see is the dog afterwards. And they work great for sports photos like these basketball ones, because the colors in the crowd and the distraction completely goes away when you make it black and white and use selective color. All right, there's another car show one, really makes the car the star of the show. This was one from the internet, which one of our students did, and we'll show you too how you can change the color of the car or the color of the item once you've done your selective color as well. This was just a little selective color project where just some black and white kind of stripes were painted through the picture, which was a really interesting thing to do, done by one of our students. This is one off the internet, which worked really well for selective color because of the earrings. And that's the final one here. This guy is holding a Les Paul Gibson, but the only thing is that I don't know why he's holding it upside down. I don't know why they did the photo like that. But anyway, so you do a window adjustments to bring in the menu of adjustments, and you need a black and white adjustment layer first, which will make your whole picture black and white. Then you get a paintbrush, and by setting your foreground color to black and background color to white, you can actually paint holes in the black and white picture and make the color come back through. So this was originally a color picture. We used a black and white adjustment to make it black and white. Then we got our paintbrush and we carefully just painted around the guitar just to bring the guitar's gold color through, all right? So he's kind of like made a hole in the black and white that reveals the original color picture underneath it. And if you make mistakes, you can just change from the black paintbrush to the white paintbrush and paint back over it with white, and that'll turn it back to black and white again. So here are some images we will give you in the download. So these images we've taken, and we've got, it's okay for us to give them to you to play around with. So some pictures of cars, pictures of models, that band photo from the opening slide, the footy photo, the red motor scooter, and you also get a PDF of the step-by-step instructions. So some people don't like to sit down and have to watch a video, so they're happy just to get the instructions and read through them and start work straight away. So you can do that as well. So let's get into our first example here. This is the before photo of the flowers, and there's kind of some dead or emerging flower buds here and other things. We really want these 3 flowers to be the star of the show. And if we use selective color and make the whole background black and white and color these in to make them in color, well then that really does the job on this photo. And that's what we're going to do for the example, because this is probably a good starters one to do, and then you can try the other ones, all right? So the first step is you go window up the top and adjustments, and that'll turn on the adjustments panel. So that should appear over on the right hand side of Photoshop, and you need this one that's half black and half white. And if you mouse over, it'll even say create a new black and white adjustment layer. So that's the one we need to make our original black and white. And when you click on that, all these sliders will come up, and you can see what we've done here is we've just kind of made it look okay in black and white by just adjusting these a little bit backwards and forwards to make the flowers stand out and make the background dark. And then when you finish adjusting them, there's no OK button or anything, which is a bit confusing. There's these kind of 2 arrowheads up in here, and they're the guys you've got to click on to close this panel down and make it shrink back into an icon again, all right? So it's click those 2 arrowhead signs to finish things. So there's a few things in Photoshop that are like that. They don't have an OK button to say, yep, I'm finished. You have to use the double arrows to close them off, and that's just something you'll get used to. So the black and white adjustment layer, we can also close that one off so that adjustments panel isn't there anymore. And you can see we've got our background original color photo, but on top of it now we've got a black and white photo. So this one is covering up that one completely, and we can't see any of the color photo anymore. All right, now if you turn this eye, if you click on that and turn that one off, you'll see the color photo again. If you turn it back on, you'll see the black and white one sitting on top. So remember when we did layers, we talked about how they stack up on top of each other. So the black and white one's kind of stacked on top of the color. So you can't see this color one behind there. You can only see the black and white at the moment. Now stay clicked on that top black and white layer, and we're going to paint through that to reveal some of the color underneath that's sitting on this color photo. Now, the quick selection tool, to make life easier, we can auto select the flowers first and use the cutting paintbrush. So that'll just mean we can color in like crazy, and it prevents us from accidentally painting off the flowers and onto the green leaves. So this is a little cheat which will set you up great for your coloring in. So just click this arrow here to have your tools doubled up, and you need this one, which might be magic wand showing, but you want quick selection tool. So quick selection tool, and then the settings we want is we want the plus selection, we want size 4, just a little size, we want this one turned on here, and then you can just drag out over the flowers and they should all become selected. You could also try this select subject and see how that goes, because they stand out pretty brightly against the background. It might just automatically select all those for you, but we just did it with a small brush, small selector tool here, only size 4, just dragging across them until they were all picked up. And that's important to leave it as a little size 4, because if you go too big, it's going to pick up other things as well. Okay, so now we click on the paintbrush tool. So this tool here next to the rubber stamp, you need to be on the paintbrush, get a soft round brush. We've made size 84, just normal mode. opacity. So we haven't got full strength, we've made it 87%, and click this one to have your pressure sensitive on. We want 100% flow and just smoothing only at 10%. So they're kind of your settings. After you click on this, these will come across the top, and you need to set all those guys. And so on this down arrow, we've chosen, use that slider or type in here to get around 80. And the brush we need is this soft round one, okay? One of these sorts of ones. And then that's all set up and we're ready to painting. All we got to do is set the right colors for doing it. So the top foreground color has to be set black and the background color has to be set to white, and you have to use those colors. All right, so if we click on this icon here, go down the very bottom and pick a dark black color like that, and then say okay. And then you click on the background layer, this one here, and for that one, pick a very white color and click OK. All right, and that'll set that up with the top is black and the bottom is white. And that's important for painting through our adjustment layer. So get onto the paintbrush tool. Remember, make sure we're on that black and white painting layer. And you see we've done some painting already because it's showing some things in there, but yours still should be blank at the moment. And now you can paint over the flowers, and because we've got them selected, you can just paint like crazy and you won't spill out of the lines. Photoshop will hold it within the selection line, so you can very quickly just paint those in. That's why we're using a big 80 size paintbrush and get those all in color, and doesn't that look so much better in color? And as you do it, you'll see it kind of fill in here on this white panel on the layers. Now, if your layers aren't showing like this, well, then you need to go up the top of Photoshop and do window, and then go down through the window things and make sure layers has a tick next to it, okay? Layers has to be ticked so you can see your layers. Now, some final painting adjustments. Hold down the control key and press the letter D on the keyboard so that they're deselected once we finish coloring in. Now we'll just do a check. If you go on your magnifying glass and zoom right in, you can use the hand tool to grab the photo and move around. And you can see it's not quite perfect on some of these edges here, all right? So we can change onto our paintbrush tool here. And what we can do is we can just carefully paint those. Now, if you spill over the edges and reveal some green, all you do is flip over to this, click on this white one and color with that, and that'll make the greens go away. And we'll show you that in the live demo. So the white brush is used for fixing mistakes. So there's these swap arrows you can click to swap the brushes around. So to swap over to the white brush, you click this little arrow here, this turnaround arrow, and that'll flip them so the white one's on top. And see here where we spilled over into the green. Once you flip this and you've got the white one on top, you can paint with white here and it'll turn the green back into black and white. All right, so the white restores the black and white photo image adjustment over the top. All right, so that's how you fix things. You flip over to white, and then when you finish that, just click the arrow again and flip back to black on the top. All right, now the final touch-ups. We're just going to use the Band-Aid tool or the spot healing brush. So make sure you push down on that and you're on the spot healing brush, because it's very easy to be, some of our students have made the mistake of being on the healing brush, which doesn't work the same way. We want the spot healing brush, okay? So make sure you've got that one. And we're going to use a size 95, just have normal, and type is content aware, because we want to take these ones out and get it to clone some of this into the background instead. So we're using a big brush on our spot healing, and we're just going to paint all over those, and then the AI in Photoshop should say, oh, this is all the stuff around it, so it should put this sort of stuff here into that spot there, okay? That's how it works, a spot healing thing. And then we can use the quick selection tool. Let's select the flowers again, and then do select inverse so that we've got just the background selected and not the flowers. So you go select inverse, and then you've got all this dark stuff selected. And what we're going to do there is we're going to get rid of this blooming flower bud here. So this flower bud here is still kind of a nuisance because it's so close to the petals. But because we've selected inverse, whatever we do here will only affect this dark area and it won't leak over into our color area. All right, so what we can do is we can just sort of paint over that really quickly, and that will make that one go away. Okay, so it's cloned in some other things instead from here which don't look nearly as bright as that flower. Now, even though we've got those yellow petals selected, don't go too close to them or touch over the top, because we have found that does kind of make a tiny little leak onto them. So you've got to zoom right in when you do this, and maybe use a size 50 spot healing tool to do that, all right? Now, when you let go of the mouse, so you color in and then you let go of the mouse, if the area is not fixed properly, if something goes wrong, just press Control Z to go backwards a step and then have another go. And you can press Control Z many times to go back many steps. We just want to hold down the CTRL key and press the letter Z once just to go back one step and fix it. And when it's all done, just go up to the View tab up the top and choose Fit on Screen so that we can see the whole thing on the screen, and Control D just to get rid of this marching ants dash line selection, it's called. And we're just about done. So we're just going to take our image layer. So what we need to do now is we're going to do some image adjustments. Now we need to be on the original color image for this. So we're going to do image adjustments, brightness, contrast, hue, saturation. We're just going to saturate up the color a bit to make it pop. So we're making the flowers a bit brighter. So this is on the bottom layer, the image layer, we're doing this, the background layer. Make the flowers a bit brighter and use image adjustments, hue, saturation to just give them a little bit more bright color with +7 on that. Okay, and then we're finished. That's pretty much it, I think. We've got these nice bright flowers against a dark background. We got rid of that annoying one, which was too obvious here in the background. And we also got rid of those extra petals down in the corner using the spot healing tool. All right, so the last thing we can do is add a dark border vignette. So a vignette is kind of a darkening around the edge to make a spotlight effect. Now to do that, you go Filter and Lens Correction. Now if another lens correction comes up here, don't use that one. Use Filter and use the lens correction that's down in the list under Camera Raw Filter. And then you need to get off lens correction and go onto the Custom tab here when this panel comes up. And we're just in this area that's vignette, these controllers here. And if you just slide that down from the middle to about halfway, that's going to make darkening around it. Now you'll see the color image while you're doing this, but that's okay. So make sure you're on the background image layer while you're doing this, all right? And we're just going to slide that vignette down about halfway, and then we're going to click the OK button. And you can see it's kind of made this darkness around the edge, which just makes it look like there's kind of a spotlight shining on the flowers. So that's our finished image. That's our selective color picture of flowers, okay? And you can save it as a Photoshop project with its layers here. So File Save As, up the top, File Save As, and save it as PSD type, just so you've got it to go back and work on if you want to. Maybe you want to make the flowers a little bit brighter with a little bit more saturation. And you can do File Save As when you're finally happy and save it as a JPEG. The JPG file you can then share with your friends and post on social media and things like that. All right, so creating selective color. Let's do the live demo now in Photoshop and get into it and show you how it all works. Now you might want to take a quick break now. So before we do the live demo, that's fine. That's what I'm going to do. And then just go to the video description and in the index timeline, find Photoshop live demo section and click on that and you'll be straight into the live demo. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop and we've loaded up the starting image here of the flowers, all in color, and let's get to work on it. So the first thing to do is up the top here, you go Window and you go Adjustments, all right? And then these Adjustments panel will come up. And remember, in the Adjustments panel, the one we want to pick is this one that's half black and half white. And if we hold the mouse there, without the button pressed or anything, just says create a new black and white adjustment layer. That's exactly what we want. So we do that and straight away it goes black and white. Now the settings I used previously was, I think I took the reds down. Now because the flowers are yellow, see, taking the yellow up, but if you take it too much, that's too bright. But we can take yellow up. We don't really want the greens. The greens are a problem in that background. So we're going to slide those down quite a bit. And we're also going to take our sort of greeny blue down quite a bit as well. And finally, what do we do with the blues? The blues are just down a little bit like that. Okay, let me just check the reds here. Reds were at 46. Oh, we're bringing the reds up a little bit, I think. Or we want them around the mid-40s. Okay, I might bring the yellows just up a little bit there like that. All right, so that's looking pretty good. So remember, this doesn't have an OK button. So when you're happy with the sliders, and all we've tried to do is get the dark black in the background and make the flowers stand out. And then we just click this to say OK. And if we look in the layers panel, now if you're not seeing your layers panel, you'll need to go up the top and go window and make sure layers is ticked. So yours might be like this and you're not seeing anything. You need to go window and make sure layers is ticked, all right? And remember, if adjustments are still open like this, it's this double arrow here you use to close them, and actually just go back into this icon list here. All right, so that's got all that done. Now, after we do our adjustments, we need to make sure this top color here, remember the foreground color is on black and the background color is on white, okay? And that's already happened because it knows we did a black and white adjustment layer, so Photoshop's already had the smarts to set those. Now remember, if you want to swap to fix mistakes, you just use that little arrow. See, that's swapped white on top, but we want black on top, and that's it. And we're ready to paint through. So look, we'll just show you quickly. If you get onto your paintbrush tool, and start painting. See how the yellow's coming through? I'll just press Control Z though, because we don't want to start painting yet. We're going to make it easy for ourselves. Remember this quick selection tool? We were going to get on that, have it in plus mode, but we're going to go really small here, like about size 4. And we're going to kind of drag around and just select all those flowers. So I'm just got my mouse button pushed down, okay, and I'm just going around the flower, like going around a clock basically when we tell the time, until I've got all those petals selected. Okay, so I've got all those selected. Now that's establishing a boundary. So when I get on my paintbrush tool, I can go really big into the 80s. I've got a soft round brush here, and I just need to make sure the black color is showing, and I'm at opacity 100%. Well, I think we said to set it down a little bit, and the flow's 100. Anyway, what you can do is you can just paint, and see how I'm painting like, I'm just painting carelessly like crazy. Like my brush is going way over there, if you can see it on the video, outside the flowers. But because I have selected them, there's no way I can slip out of the flowers. So I can just paint like crazy here. And maybe I should even go bigger so I can paint like crazy fast enough, or this video will go forever. So even if I'm using a really big brush like size 130, all I've got to do is keep painting over those. So you need to just keep painting over several times to punch a full hole. So we're punching a hole in the black and white adjustment layer that's on top of the color one. We're just making a big hole there where the flowers are, so we can see the flowers, all right? So I think I need to turn my pressure on. Maybe I'll turn that off. All right, now I've got to paint here until I've got all those colors showing through, because some of these flowers are still a bit white. So yeah, all of these things in Photoshop, they take a while. Now we'll just do circle work, going around in circles, circle work, circle work, circle work, circle work. Okay, I think that's it. I'm not sure why they're not yellow, but anyway, we can fix that up in the final step when we add some saturation. But we've kind of got the yellow flowers here all fixed up, and we couldn't possibly make a mistake because we'd selected them first, all right? Now, I think we're finished with that, so we go Control D, and that's looking better already. But the thing is, we need to get on the spot healing tool, so make sure you're on spot healing with the Band-Aid. We need to go a bit bigger. I can't remember what the settings were. Probably around 50, was it? Maybe even bigger. Right, now what we're doing is when we paint over here, so now we're on the wrong layer. See how green's coming through? So that's not good, all right? So we need to be on the background layer, and click on your layers onto the background, and we want to just kind of paint over those petals, but also paint around it. So Photoshop can figure out, okay, I'm cloning off the area that's around to replace this, all right? And I don't like what it did there, so I'm just going to paint over it some more. And that's kind of good. Those petals in the corner aren't obvious anymore. Now we also need to paint over this, but the trouble is that we're kind of near the flower petals. So if we just paint over that like that, see how it's extended our petals here and ruined it? So we'll just do Control Z. So what we're going to have to do is we will need to go on our quick selection tool again. Now because these yellow petals are really standing out against the background, we should be okay. But I'm noticing there's a little bit white on the tips there because we forgot to do a step. So remember how we were saying you could zoom in and then you, with the magnifying glass tool here, then you could use this hand tool and you just push down your mouse and grab the photo and then let go. And we can see with our hand tool, we've still got some fixing up to do here, mister. Okay, so we'll reduce down our size of our brush. And we're just, now we're on the wrong layer because we're on the background layer and we're painting white paint. We've got the white and cream color. All right, so remember just Control Z. You'll soon know if you're on the wrong layer because the wrong things happen. So we need to be on our black and white adjustment layer, this one here, and then we'll have our black on top. And we just need to paint around there, just to get that. All right, back onto the hand symbol and we'll drag around and we're just checking our petals out here. And then onto the paintbrush, that one needs a bit more yellow in it around the edge. Back onto our hand tool. And we're just fixing up the edges just to make it look perfect because that's the sort of people we are. Now, if I slip out of the edges, and see how I've done some green. I just use this arrow here to flip onto the white color. And when I paint with white, what it does is it's turning it back into black and white. It's kind of filling in the hole I made, although it's doing it a bit slowly. But yeah, if you spill, you need to go onto the white paintbrush and paint that. All right, now we'll flip back with that arrow onto the black one, onto our hand tool. Let's move around. We've done a pretty good job on these. Could just get a little bit more yellow around that. Bit around there, bit around there. Okay, onto the hand tool one more time. We've just got a little bit to fix up here. Okay, so hopefully you're watching this video in high speed, and then we go view and fit on screen. All right, so we fix those edges. Now what we need to do now is, let's see, now I'm thinking which layer we need to be on. Let's get on our quick selection tool and just go select subject, and it should pick out all the flowers, and it has. All right, so by selecting subject, what we've done is we've got all these selected. Now we want to select all this dark stuff so that we can just color like mad in here and not spill into the flowers. So we go select and we go inverse, which selects the opposite. See how we've got these lines around the square on the outside? That means our flowers are not selected. But what is selected is this background and this kind of nuisance too bright flower bud here. So if we get on our Band-Aid tool and we paint over that, we're showing its color. All right, now that's wrong. So that tells us we're on the wrong layer. So we need to make sure we're clicked onto the background layer when we do this, all right? So if weird things happen, that means you're on the wrong layer. So maybe I should have put the layers instructions in there about what layer to be on, but anyway. But like I said, just still try not to spill over into the petals too much, because we've found that Photoshop can get a bit confused and mess up your yellow petals. But basically we're painting all over that thing because it's too obvious next to those petals. And see, Photoshop has cloned the petals, which isn't good. It's not supposed to be able to see that stuff which is underneath, which is kind of weird. So I might do this in stages where we're just doing a bit at a time. And of course it is being difficult. Why? Because we're doing the video, and it's always different when you're doing the video and difficult. But we'll just try to do a bit at a time. Now it's trying to clone that. All right, let's not try and go too close or touch those petals at all. Come on, use your artificial intelligence, Photoshop. Okay, now What we could do is we could use our friend, the rubber stamp. Remember our old friend, the rubber stamp? Maybe put the opacity here up quite a bit, and we could do Alt-click here, and then if we click around there, that should paint this over the top of that, all right? So that might be another way to fix things up. But I think we're okay there. I think we've finally got there. Let's go to our home base move tool and go view fit on screen. Yes, we've got rid of that distraction. We got rid of that distraction in the corner. So that's all good. So we can go Control D because we're done with that. And we're getting near the end, although I'm just going to go back on the black and white layer because there seems to be a little bit of white around the edge of that. Okay, now, what else were the final steps we had to do? We've done all that. Now remember, you couldn't go, I think you go onto your background layer, the bottom layer, click onto the background layer, and if you do your image adjustments, we did make the flowers a little bit brighter, and we did also go image adjustments and did a bit of hue saturation, just to saturate those flowers up a little. Right, not too much like that, unless you really, really love that sort of thing. I'm thinking maybe about like that's good, sort of around the 10 mark, although even that might be a bit bright. So that's kind of nice. They're all brightened up and we can see them. And then we were going to do that vignette, that kind of frame around the background. So how you do that is it's filter, and then you go to lens correction underneath camera raw filter, go to lens correction. On the lens correction, you go to this custom panel here and get that active custom panel. Then you go down to vignette. So vignette just means make a dark kind of spotlight type border effect. Now, if you slide it down all the way, it kind of goes too dark. Now we're seeing the color image while we do this, but don't worry about that. It'll change back to the selective color when we click OK. I usually find it's good to, often with vignettes, about the halfway mark is good and works okay. So let's click OK on that. And that's kind of made the background dark. All right, so that's looking pretty good and pretty happy with that. So that's our selective color image now of the flowers, and we've got that finished. So I think we're just about finished the video as well. Okay, let's just talk about other images. Some images are like the motor scooter one. In the downloads, you will be able to use the quick selection tool. So we use the quick selection tool just to select this kind of luggage box on the back, and we're able to color in around that to reveal the color underneath, all right? But you can't quick select tool these parts, all right, that are here and here. So you will have to zoom in and just paint with your paintbrush very carefully. And you can see that's what we're in the progress of doing right there. So you'll have to paint with your black paintbrush very carefully in there to do those parts, all right? So quick selection won't always work and save the day and make for rapid coloring in, but you may be able to do sections of it with quick selection. Now, this motor scooter picture and car pictures and other ones, what is really cool is, and you could have done that to our Photoshop ones too, is you can change the color. So once you've got your final image, you can click on the background layer and you can actually slide this tinter in hue and saturation, and we can have ourselves a green motor scooter if we want to, all right? Or you could have an orange motor scooter by sliding it different directions, or you could have a blue motor scooter, and you might have all of them and kind of have 1, 2, 3, 4 in a framed image because you love motor scooters, and that'd be pretty cool to have 4 different colored motor scooters, all right? So you can change colors of items too once you've got your selective coloring done. So that's kind of neat as well. All right, and like we said, if you need to desaturate the skin, so remember on this one, it kind of looked unfinished if you left the skin black and white. So what we did was you can make the skin all color, but then you get on the dodge tool or lollipop tool, if you click down on that, you can get to the sponge tool and make it about size 25, desaturate about 50%, and you can just sponge over this. on desaturate mode just to make it more pale and not so colorful around here. So we're going for a desaturated look to emphasize the earrings, but it looked weird with just colored earrings and nothing else, but we've still got the black and white in the background. So yeah, you can do that as well, all right? Using the sponge tool is also part of what you do with selective color. So have fun with Adobe Photoshop. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Give it a big thumbs up like, and remember to subscribe to our channel because we've got some more exciting Photoshop lessons in the pipeline coming up in the next few weeks, and we'll see you in the next lesson.